For anyone who isn't familiar with the concept, a recursive translation is when something is taken from one language, translated to at least one more, and then converted back to the source language. The results can be quite interesting. Anyway, let's go. Mole dish. Ben helps Reed check out Sue's new field equipment when other tenants start complaining about the Baxter building. Rundo decides to take the team on a remote island test when he remembers a flying catapult. When the four travel to the island, the crew is stranded when their U vehicle is stolen. They then meet Grinder Man, the head of the underground, who tells them that he has rebuilt a network of underground tunnels for each capital city. He intends to take over the world's governments, and for that, he keeps each of the four in a series of traps. The four must escape from prison and stop the man in the pit from taking over the world. Devil. The Fantastic Four get lost on vacation in the Transylvanian forest and end up in an old castle. They are warned that the castle belongs to Diablo, an evil alchemist who was imprisoned 100 years ago. Only the most powerful people can free it. So Diablo hypnotizes Ben into breaking the seal. The rest of the team investigate Ben's kidnapping and discover that Diablo has rewarded Ben by partially returning him to his human form. In exchange for helping Diablo, Ben agrees to act as the alchemist's assistant for a year, over the crew's objections. A sample of Diablo's serum is well transformed, while Diablo works wonders with other potions from around the world. Reed discovers that Diablo's potions are dangerous when Diablo himself assembles an army. Ben eventually comes to his senses and breaks Diablo's hold on him. That's how they all started. D-Adept travels to New York and claims diplomatic immunity. Sue and the police commissioner summon the entire team to the Baxter building, where the Fantastic Four are preparing for Dom's arrival. There they receive a message from Id, who tells Reed that he is safe with his friends and that he's just a few. He has hours to live. The commissioner asks Reed why he hates him and tells him how he and Victor Von Doom were at the same university years ago. Ben was also there, after becoming Reed's roommate, when Letus performed the dangerous experiment on his scarred face. She was kicked out of bed and hit by the cane with the deformity of her. The mess disappeared when Reed and Ben served their time in World War II. After the war, Reed developed the spaceship and chose Ben as the pilot, Sue and Johnny as the rest of the crew. During its first flight, the spaceship emitted cosmic rays that gave its crew superpowers and turned them into the Four. Fantastic! Super Skrull Invasion. In the Skrull world, the Skrull Emperor tries to destroy the Fantastic Four, but Sue protects them with an invisible shield. Marshal South then shows the Emperor a new weapon not to be missed, the Super Skrull, which has all the powers of the Fantastic Four. He is sent to Earth, where he soon meets a superhero team in New York. After reclaiming Earth in the name of the Skrull Empire, the Super Skrulls and the Fantastic Four clash, but are too much alike. The four then return to the Baxter building, where Reed discovers that Super Skrull powers have been given to him from the Skrill homeworld. The wand creates a barrier machine, and upon summoning a Super Skrull to fight the team on Crater Island, Sue must attach a jammer to the Super Skrull before the rest of the team can stop it. Claws. Penn explores subspace with his team while Johnny goes on vacation. Soon, however, Klaus, the master of Baxter's health building, arrives and attacks the rest of the team with sonic bombs. Reed and Ben are ambushed by a solid wall of sound waves, but Ben pushes through. Klaus tries to return Sue to Johnny, but he resists and Ben tries to stop him. Klaus defeats Ben with another sonic boom, but Johnny returns with the vibranium ties after Reed gives him the message. Now that they are all together, the Fantastic Four battle the Mighty Claw. The Red Ghost. Penn experiments with the use of meteors like a novel she burned, but to little avail. He got the idea from a physicist named Professor Ivan Kargov, so he made 4 attempts to get fuel to the moon. Won the space race before Kargov and explored the mysterious blue region on the moon's surface. Kargov himself, known as Red Spirit, uses a trio of intelligent monkeys to assist him in his spaceship. Both ships take off at the same time, and the Holy Spirit ship is to be ignited with cosmic rays, giving him and the monkeys superpowers from it. In the blue zone of the moon, the team finds an ancient abandoned city and is attacked by the Red Saint and his super apes. Sue is taken hostage, and Reed, Ben, and Johnny follow the Red Ghost to the final battle. Prisoner of Planet X. UFO. He shows up on Earth, and after the Air Force tries to intercept him, a robot pilot kidnaps the Fantastic Four from the award ceremony. Upon entering space, the robot will be taken to Planet X under the orders of Kurgo, the master of the planet. Kurgo tells the team that his planet is about to be hit by a rogue planet. To prevent him from killing his slaves, Kurgo asks Reed to find a way to save his job. The four refuse his request, but Kurgo forces them to work in his lab. There, Reed states that the second planet should collide with X in less than a day. Urundu decide to use gas extraction to reduce the size of the entire population so that everyone would be fit enough to be available and rescued on the 2 rescue ships. He shows Kurgo a can of gasoline and promises to develop a cure before the planets collide. When the population of Planet X rebels, the four must return to Earth and put an end to the rule of the dictator Kurgo. I started on Yancey Street. When the Fantastic Four accept a challenge to the Ben Yancey Street gang, they quickly find a trap and are attacked by 3 mutated monkeys. The red spirit then appears, having escaped from the moon, and takes the four of them back to the moon in his rocket. The team launches to the surface of the moon, and with the help of Sue's force field, they try to quickly reach the uninhabitable blue zone of the moon. They flee to the underground house of the guard, who mentally tells them that they cannot help themselves against the red spirit, and warns them not to touch their lift with any of the devices for their own safety. Meanwhile, Red Spirit has the global rescue, but Arundo soon sends his rocket back to the moon. The Red Ghost follows Johnny to the Vigilante's base, and there are 4 demons and their monkeys to stop him. 3 predictions from Dr. Dr. Fate appears on TV to the Fantastic Four and challenges them to a duel at the finish line. He predicts that he will take the heart of the group. He will take the strongest force in the group, and in the end, the strongest force will conquer all. When Sue attends the filming, Fate catches her and takes her to her base, destroying the team's heart in the process. The rest of the team attends the UN conference, where the Adept announced that he will destroy all major cities in the world. World with tidal waves. Unless he's recognized as the ruler of the world by vote. He demonstrates his power in the Lost Warehouse and tells the team not to stop his plans like Sue did. Reed tracks down Dom's airship and the team goes there to deliver Sue. On the map, Letus is attacked with a cosmic ray gun and Ben reverts to his human form, wiping out most of the crew. You see a star in the distance. In the Skrull world, Minister Vor Murat leads a hunting expedition when he decides to capture the Fantastic Four to impress Prince Enel's father, the Skrull Emperor. Four examine the new Reed rocket as it is launched from the meteorites controlled by Martin. They are pulled through the warp of space and arrive at the Skull Galaxy. Upon arrival, the 4 soldiers are attacked by a Murat Skrull. The Skrulls win, but soon lose the use of their powers due to the settling beam. They went down to the base at Morton and held them captive, promising to deliver all 4 to his father Enel. Murat tries to overthrow the Emperor with his help. When the Skrull commander asks Mort what's going on, Reed tells Mort to use a special beam cannon from the ship. The rest of the team refuses, but Reed asks them to trust him. Mort uses the gun on Quarter and accidentally restores his powers. Gorget Demon. Arundo is chosen to interrogate the evil Professor Gamma into surrendering and destroying his base on Island X to answer for his crimes against the world. Reed and the other 4 attack the island and defeat the Professor's apprentices, destroying the Professor's nuclear missiles. Gamma himself was not on the island, and due to the nuclear radiation emitted from the war, he turns into an amphibious form and now calls himself Gamma Ray. Johnny, after being ordered to rest on the last mission, gets upset and leaves the team and stays in a hotel room. There, one of the locals tells a long story that the other day he saw another creature in the sea that called itself a Gamma Ray. A suspicious Johnny decides to investigate the connection to Professor Gamma and quickly finds Gamma Ray. He fights and Gamma Ray transforms into a giant whale named Giant, which begins marching towards New York. Danger in the deep. Johnny is testing his ability to spew flames when he senses a foreign object rising from the sea. A blue-black woman emerges and introduces herself as Mrs. Dorma Pacifica. She asks the Fantastic Four to help her fight a black-faced tyrant, whom she unwisely allowed to defeat his kingdom's ruler, Prince Triton. Realizing her mistake, she used 4 to stop Atuma's victory. An oxy sprayer helps the team use aquatic breathing, and along with Dorma, they head out into the Pacific Ocean. Atuma's soldiers go to battle and enter the royal court. There they meet Prince Triton and help him win the fight against Adam and his forces. The return of Molman. An earthquake shakes New York, and Johnny notices a whole bulge on the surface of the earth. Reed quickly brings this job to the Mole Man. He sneaks into the Hall of Science, where Sue is giving a speech to a group of early scientists, and tells the rest of the team not to interfere with her plans. Reed, Ben, and Johnny descend to Earth's surface to the man's underground hideout. But after they threaten Sue, the team returns to the surface to warn the National Guard not to attack the base. Back at the Baxter building, Reed finds Sue hunting, and Johnny digs a tunnel for Ben and Reed's bike to go down. With Sue freed, the 4 now united Mole Men must fight with their powers to free all the hostages and repair the missing buildings. Branch all. Ben is insulted by Yancey's street gang and is depressed by his appearance. The rest of the team visits an Egyptian museum and finds an ancient painting that appears to depict Ben reverting to his human form. The pen tells him about the map and 4 trips to Dr. Doom's castle, like a time machine to travel to 10th century BC Egypt. C. There he is quickly attacked by soldiers, but Arundo notices his outfit elsewhere. The group then exits and is brought to Ramatut, ruler of Egypt. He says that he has been looking for adventure since the year 3000, built a time machine and returned to ancient Egypt. He locked up a team of hypnotized slaves, but a passing comet returned Ben to his human form, and restored her will. As Ramatut prepares to marry Sue, Ben rescues her and the rest of the crew. As the comet recedes, Ben becomes an object again, and the 4 follow Ramatut for your final workout. Galactus. Another sun suddenly appears in the sky, which quickly disappears, and in its place, millions float in the sky. After finding it out, Scout appears to the team and tells them that he's creating illusions, trying to hide Earth from the Silver Surfer, a being who serves Galactus, who drains the planets of energy from him. Unfortunately, the Surfer finds Earth and summons Galactus, who quickly announces they go empty this world like he did the others. Ben knocks out the Surfer, who then follows him and is saved by Sue while the rest of the team tries to fend off Galactus. As Sue tends to the Surfer, who quickly begins to recognize humanity, Galactus begins building his own converter element to drain Earth's energy. Vigil sends Johnny on a journey to Galactus' space station to retrieve a weapon known as the Last Known Canceller, and the Silver Surfer decides to betray his master and help Galactus defeat the Fantastic Four. The micro-world of Dr. Pedum. As Ben delivers the piano across town, he begins to shrink until he is only 2 inches tall. The same thing happens to Sue when she goes shopping, to Reed while she is testing a new plane, and to Johnny while he is fixing a car. Eventually, they all return to the Baxter building, where they hear a voice warning them to be careful around Dr. Expert. The 4 of them are nearly sucked into the spiral as they watch the ship and the captured Prince Pearl. The team escapes with Johnny's help, then retreats, further until they escape to a micro-world controlled by Adondo. He joins the new army's battle, but pushes them further back and tells the company how he was accidentally captured and later conquered the world. Now captured by Doom, the small team meets up with the king and his daughter. In his prison, the Adept tells the team how he will use the lizards from the adjacent micro-world to aid his invasion of the microcosm. The 4 must evade the guards and stop the Adept's plans. Blaster, the living bomb! Reed uses his time dimension machine to observe a strange, distant planet in the midst of a major battle. The planet's inhabitants battle Blast Star, an incredibly powerful creature that can shoot lightning from its hands. Finally, he is fed with a special gas and ejected into space in a capsule suit. Reed uses his machine to enter the negative zone to take a closer look at the planet, but ends up trapped there with no return. He asks Johnny to stop him from traveling through space, and with Hodondo's help, return to Earth along with Blast Star, who has escaped from his capsule. On Earth, Blast Star begins destroying everything in sight, and the 4 try to stop him. They trick him into believing that he's destroyed them, and then force him to plant an atomic force on the island of Atlantis, where the final battle takes place. The Mystery Man of the Molecule. A meteor is drawn from deep space to the ground, and after Reed tries to bring it back to the Baxter building, he discovers that it has energy-absorbing properties. With the meteorite sealed at the edge of the vault, the team sees a green wonder in the afternoon, and a man calling himself the Molecule Man performs seemingly impossible feats. He declares himself ruler of the city, but the 4 quickly show up to challenge him. The team explains that he was once a lab technician who was transformed in an atomic accident, and now has the power to manipulate all molecules. Molecule Man then meets the Pentagon and forces them to take control. Marunda uses an electro gun to stop Molecule from using human powers in specific situations, while the villain takes over the city. Rod manages to fend off Molecule Man with an electron cannon and later uses it to turn one of the last tanks into his shell. Terrible Yard. An alien ship approaches Earth from deep space and kidnaps the Fantastic Four. The robotic team takes the Super Quad to his homeworld, where Reed is informed that he and the other 4 are facing an accusation against evil, and the accusers are the team of Klaus, Molecule Man, and Blast Star. The Court of Evil recalls the team's battle against the Claws, Molecule Man, and Blast Star, where the rest of the team escaped from their prison. Reed was convinced and sentenced to liquidation, but was rescued by Ben, Johnny, and Sue. The 4 of them must face off against 3 villains as well as the planet's evil judge and an army of robots. Mortality Manager. The imposter poses as the famous conductor Otto von Lenz after removing the authentic article. He invites the Fantastic Four to star in his movie, and they happily accept their roles. Some highlights from previous fights against Dr. Doom and the Mole Man are examples of the guy he's looking for. Led by other supervillains into his path, the imposter orders the 4 to meet him on his private island as the shootout scene begins. As they approach the Fantasticer, the Mimic fires a real laser at its ship, forcing all 4 of them to crash to the ground. On the island, the imposter braves 4 fantastic traps to escape from 3 tricky traps on the island. The team hit trap after trap and finally confronted the imposter. It's all the same thing. Thank you for the registration question?